Good morning from Disturbia. I just Googled this, contrails cover up Ice Age, because as you know, I believe that if they didn't constantly live stream the atmosphere, the temperatures would really plummet below zero, perhaps even in the summertime. And they're camouflaging this fact with gas and electricity, which they're flooding the atmosphere with. It's like Noah's flood, only it's not cleansing the earth, but destroying it. And I found this National Geographic article here under the travel section. Hot topic: should I worry about chemtrails? Is there a worldwide government conspiracy to poison us all by spraying chemicals out of 15,000 aircraft crisscrossing the globe at any given moment? No. Almost. Certainly not. Almost. This is the key word here, because they're not saying no, period. They're saying almost certainly not. So they know that they're lying, and they are checking that with saying almost, which gives you the clue and the tip-off that they are going to set about lying here. Then it says, ever since the U.S. Air Force published a paper about the hypothetical harnessing of weather for military objectives, truthers have shared evidence of a shadowy global aviation conspiracy. They make fun. That's just their MO, is always ridicule and name-calling. This is by James Draven. He is from the UK, which we will see. This was published in 2019 and updated in 2021. And he's telling the story about when he was a little kid, how his father was an aviation nut, and anytime he heard a plane flying overhead, he would run to the window and look out. And then he says, his son asked him, what is that white trail left by the plane? And his dad is something of an aviation enthusiast, and this compulsive aircraft spotting was a regular occurrence throughout my childhood. I asked my father what these white lines that hung in the air long after the plane had vanished from sight were, and he told me they were contrails, condensation trails. I don't know how well you can see this. Again, I'm looking through my glasses. It's kind of an awkward circumstance, but I can't really change it now. He told me they were contrails. Their form, now here, get this, here is the explanation for a contrail. Condensation. Now, we all know that condensation is the appearance of water. Appearance of water. They're formed when humid jet exhaust condenses into ice crystals in the cold, dry, high altitude air. Now, would you be satisfied with that explanation? This young boy was. Of course, his daddy told him. And you're always going to believe your father, aren't you? At least when you're little. So the question is, why is jet exhaust humid? Does anybody know? It condenses into ice crystals. Well, the thing is, when we see these contrails and chemtrails, how is it that if they're that high up, we can see them in the first place? And why and how do they condense into ice? Because ice is actually transparent, not white. And on it goes. So I would not be satisfied with the explanation, but he says this was back in 1987. I was satisfied with that explanation then, and I am now. In other words, whatever your dad tells you, you've got to believe because it's the truth. Now, when you grow up, you don't change your mind. You don't begin thinking. You just accept what you're told. Raise up a child, train him up the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Not everybody is so easily placated, though, and over the past couple of decades, ever since the U.S. Air Force published a paper in 1996 about the hypothetical harnessing of weather for military objectives, truthers in their thousands have taken to YouTube forums, talk radio, and hundreds of websites to share evidence for a shadowy global aviation conspiracy. You see, he's making fun of it. That's just their MO. Some people believe that since the mid-1990s, the government, usually the U.S. government, colluding with others around the world. Well, what does Psalm 2 say? The kings of the earth have set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder. Let us cast away their cords from us. It's all about chains breaking. They are themselves chained and ensnared by their god Satan and haven't realized it yet. Has been using aircraft secretly. The thing I don't like about this secretly is that it's not secret. You can see it with your own eyes. What really kills me is that people really, the majority, I would say, believes the meme that nothing to see here, move right along, with chemical agents, with a range of supposed purposes, including weather modification, mind control, chemical biological weapons testing, stock price manipulation by damaging crops, and even causing illnesses for massive pharmaceutical companies to exploit. Well, there you go. He is unpacking this so-called secret, telling you what's going on, and then saying it's really not happening. Don't believe it. Be as a little child. Believe what you're told. It always just kills me, because they'll say that a Christian is like a little child believing what they're told. But a Christian is somebody who seeks the truth no matter what. And these goons, they believe whatever they're told. They are satisfied with their kindergarten explanations given to them by their daddy who would not lie to them. And maybe their daddy wasn't lying to them, but that doesn't mean that father really always knows best. You have to use all the senses that God gave you. It's not only just seeing, it is smelling, it is feeling. You can taste this crap. Yesterday I got out of the car. I was parked here in our parking lot behind the house and started walking to the door, and I had the most horrible taste in my mouth. I breathed in, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh. I couldn't swallow until I got up into my apartment and took some water and swished it out. It was that, I can't even describe it, abominable. It's often claimed that these chemtrails are distinguished from normal contrails because they remain in the sky longer than they did prior to the mid-90s and dissipate into cirrus clouds. Well, I'll tell you, neither a chemtrail nor a contrail dissipates into a cloud. This is abracadabra here. I'm saying it's chemtrail. Now I'm saying it's a cloud. No, it's poison. Clouds of poison. Poisonous gas. It's a load of cod swallow. But in this age of fake news, the conspiracy theory seems to have moved beyond American far-right circles and gone mainstream. You see, they're blaming, of course, the far-right, who we all know is a fundamentalist Christian, Nazi, what else? Terrorist. That's what the Pope calls Christians who believe in absolute truth. At heart, you're a terrorist, and at heart, you are violent. That's what he said. It's a load of cod swallop. Well, I've never heard that word before. Recently, my brother brought to my attention the term hog-swoggled. So that's kind of like cod swallop, I guess. The thing is, it's not fake, and it's not a load of codswallop. You see, he's telling you what it is. He's telling you what it is up here, and then down here, he's saying it's a load of codswallop. It's just the same old ridicule and name-calling, and if you believe that, then you're a fundamentalist Nazi, and God knows what. Back in 2011, a survey of the U.S., Canada, and UK showed that an incredible 16.6, that we have our 616 again, like 2 Kings 16:6, where the term Jew was first introduced into the Bible. Respondents believed in chemtrails. More recent data exists for our American cousins. A 2016 a poll. Oh, I see there's a mistake here. Okay. In 2016, a poll found that 30 to 40% of the U.S. population subscribed to the theory. Well, if you can see it, if you can feel it, if you can smell it, then probably it is not a theory, it is a fact. And what they're doing is they are simply denying your capability of apprehending the world and interpreting it as it is. If you don't believe the tales your daddy told you and what you learned in kindergarten and the glow ball and the spinning earth and all about the contrails, then it's a load of codswallop and you're a far-right Nazi, fundamentalist, terrorist, God knows what, and you're violent. I know that I'm being a little bit facetious here and it might be a little bit overboard, but I mean, this is really what we're faced with here. And it is violent because they're telling you to believe lies. In fact, you're going to be forced very, very soon to believe lies. And if you don't, according to the Bible, you're going to be beheaded. Those people were beheaded for the testimony of Christ. Anyway, if 30 to 40% subscribe to the theory, I mean, that's quite a bit. That doesn't really reflect my experience. With government agencies swamped by complaints, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency protecting the environment, they're protecting their climate change. Tower of Babel, take 2, descent into hell. That is what they're protecting. And anybody who knows the truth, anybody who proclaims the truth, is going to be sidelined, marginalized, and at some point done away with. The man of sin can hardly materialize and manifest in a world where the light of truth is still burning brightly. Even though I don't think it's burning brightly at all, but, you know, the more people who know the truth, the more people who are going to speak out about it, even though I think a lot of people are still very timid, very scared. I'll tell you what, they know who you are. They have a file on you. And the thing is, if you don't come out now and stake your claim in truth, you will be invited to the throne of Satan to either take his mark or not. And I'll tell you, you're going to be hard-pressed not to take it, because the whole world is going to follow after the beast. And he is going to be very convincing, and he's going to cause all. What does that mean? It means you're going to be forced. I've just been reading a book the last couple of days, just perusing it, looking here and there into it. It's all about the East India Company of Britain in India and the Christian missionaries that were there that were slaughtered. Now, I'm not saying that the East India Company was good. It is conceivable that this government program was set up in order to have the Christians slaughtered over there. I don't know. I'm certain that there were probably some good soldiers, because soldiers were being slaughtered. And anyway, that's not really my point here, but my point is that they spared none. No one was spared. Not children, not women, nobody. Men, of course, also not. So And this, Jesus said, the Messiah said, that the tribulation is going to be the worst time ever, because we're reaching a point where the sheep are separated from the goats, and it's going to be a very painful separation. The word tribulum means a threshing instrument. In the Bible, you often have this term, the threshing fields. This is where the wheat is separated from the chaff, and it's going to be painful. And I guess what I'm trying to do is exhort people to know what they believe and proclaim it now loudly. Period. You're going to lose your life anyway at one point or another. And when I was reading this book, I'm still not done with it. I don't even know what the name of it was. I looked up Christian Martyrs, and this was one of the books that was available by a man named, I believe, Pastor William Owen, written in the mid-1800s. You can look it up on archive.org. But he was recounting the story of a man and his wife who were completely demoralized. They didn't have any clothes on. They had been maltreated. They had been not whipped, but I think they had been attacked with swords. They were driven. They made up their mind. They said, we're either going to die now or later, so let's go for it. And they tried to escape. And to be honest, I can't remember. They made it to a certain point, and I do believe that they were slaughtered in the end. But that's just it. If you're a Christian, you're going to die today, tomorrow, the next day, very soon. Before that, for other reasons, or these wicked are going to get you. I mentioned yesterday in a video about how they've got this new reporting system. You can report people anonymously. This is something that's been bandied about and talked about for decades. I remember back in the day when I still lived in the States when they were talking about that. This is a long time ago, about how neighbors can report on neighbors. And the thing is, you get off scot-free. I may report, I may bring a false witness to bear upon my neighbor, and I'm going to get a gold medal for it, and my neighbor is going to be slaughtered, maybe put in jail, starved, disenfranchised. It's funny because I did a couple of videos about being disenfranchised, and that is what they're going to do. Exactly what God told the Hebrew people to do back in the day. Drive out the evil from among you. They didn't do it. The evil is ruling over us. Evil is being called good. Good is being called evil. Christians are being called right-wing, terrorist, fundamentalist, and violent. We got to eradicate them. Jesus said there's going to come a time when they think eradicating you and killing you, they're doing God a favor. And they're doing their God a favor. He's not going to manifest otherwise. So the best thing to do is to come to grips with what's going on. Don't spare yourself of the truth, because it will boomerang on you and you will regret it. So anyway, with government agencies swamped with complaints, the Environmental Protection Agency released a hazardous waste report in conjunction with NASA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. What do they call that? NOAA. It has to do with the flood. Oh, isn't that funny? That's their little joke. And the Federal Aviation Administration to reassure the public. You see, they're reassuring you with lies. They're poisoning you and telling you it's all okay. Just like that witch with the apple. You just go ahead and eat this apple, just like Satan did. Why should we believe these serpents? Just because the father of lies tells us it's okay? Clearly, this did little to convince hardcore believers. You see, here they call them hardcore, and up here they call them, let's see, codswallop. Then we have hardcore. I mean, just listen to this hyperbole, really. That's all it is. They want to shame you into accepting their deceptions. Their poison as being good. Woe to them that call evil good. So, with such scientific proof to the contrary, why do these theories persist? Why do they persist? Because you're proof. They don't believe in God because there's no proof. But as soon as a scientist opens his mouth and says something, that's proof enough. Do you see the hypocrisy here? And the blatant contradiction. Solar geoengineers at Harvard. Solar geoengineers? They're engineering the sun. Can you imagine that? What hubris. At Harvard reported to Vice News that they were receiving death threats and hate mail from these right-wing radical fundamentalists, Nazi Christians. So with such scientific proof to the contrary, why do these theories persist? If the government refutes them and scientists disprove them, then why are some people so adamant we're being lied to? What are they disproving? What are they proving? Just open your eyes and take a look. Compare and contrast. No amount of evidence will dissuade a die-hard conspiracy theorist because they're hardcore believers in the truth. Because any evidence to the contrary is inevitably dismissed as a massive cover-up. Well, thank you very much. Hey, maybe my dad is part of it as well. Well, your dad is part of it. Your father is the devil, the father of lies.